Late one night, about a year ago, I heard this low vibration coming from the basement. I was too tired to check it out, so I just listened. It was like a symphony of deep, dark oscillations. Then I remembered reading something about how the universe might be nothing more than a series of vibrating strings, and all of existence just passing scenes in some cosmic opera. Just kind of struck me as funny, I guess. People always searching here and there for meaning, and yet we might very well be the meaning for someone else, some composer's audience. And yet here we are, some bright cosmic dog chasing its own tail.
Wheelchair Butterfly. But we're not here to talk about Wheelchair Butterfly. We're here to talk about the Underwater Cliffs. Of all the bands I've known, none had more wasted promise than the Underwater Cliffs. Bassist and frontman Clifford Clifton would tell you himself, were he not in a mental institution. He was never one to shy away from his own greatness. Still, he might be a genius. At 21, he was as respected for his work in quantum physics as he was on the bandstands of Sunderland's New Wave Underground. But we make choices, don't we? William James said, acceptance of what has happened is the first step to overcoming the consequences of any misfortune. Seems about right, but maybe his brother Henry said it better. Cats and dogs, dogs and cats, all human life is there. I think that was cats and monkeys. Anyway, what say we listen to a little bit of Underwater Cliffs as we make our way along?
This is BBC Live coming to you today with Sunderland's Underwater Cliffs. I'm here today with two of the members of the band, bassist and singer Clifford Clifton and lead guitarist...
Only guitarist.
Oh, and that's the voice of Dobie Cliff.
More like lonely guitarist.
Oh, now I've seen you live. I know that can't be true now, is it?
Oh, yes, quite. Any birds out and about who might
Hang on, back in your cage, Dobie. So we just heard a track from last year's record, but you fellows have a new single, and it's a cover of an obscure band from Norway called Kasvot Vaxt.
They are obscure, but they shouldn't be.
Well, I tried to find a copy of their only record, but came up short. So we'll have to settle for the Underwater Cliffs version of Stray Dog.
Settle? Well, I'll rise to the occasion.
Indeed we shall. Now, as you may have noted, those of you who are noteworthy, lead singer Clifford is not from round these parts, as they say in your country.
Do they say that in America, Cliff? I say it every day.
Now, Cliff, I understand you're from America, but grew up in Africa.
Yes, that's right. My parents moved to Ondo City, Nigeria when I was 5 and worked as faculty at Adeyemi University.
What was it like growing up in Africa?
It was great. The music especially. King Sunny Ade was there. He's on tour right now. He's remarkable. The record he just put out, It's called Juju music. Buy it. It will change your life.
Well, it's obviously had a big influence on you, and you can hear it in the track we're about to play.
Well, not on the vocals.
Why is that?
He's just bitter because I took his job as a singer. He can't remember lyrics. Yes and no. I meant because part of the lyrics are in Swedish.
There you have it, folks. Swedish lyrics in a Norwegian song from a UK band with an American singer who grew up in Africa.
Today we are paying a visit to Clifford's first love, Emerald Brixton. They were perfectly matched in all ways but one, money. He cared a whit for it, she lost her wits without it. That and the fact that he was a dog person and she was a cat person. So, fans, of which there are many, to this day still blame Emerald for the breakup of the Underwater Cliffs. She took a fancy to Leland Grizzle, the drummer. Caused a lot of tension in the band, as you can imagine. It looks like we're coming up to the place here. Been a long time. Wonder if she looks the same. Probably. Still beautiful as ever. Well, it's hard to overlook the fact that the Grizzle family is loaded. Leyland is the inheritor of the Grizzled Gravy fortune. If you're not familiar with Sunderland's #1 export, Grizzle Gravy, you're doing yourself a grave misservice.
Dinner? What's this then? Slop? Hey, it's right good.
Grizzled Gravy. So much more than slop. Well, thank you very much for having me here today. I've been doing this project and I'm so happy.
It's lovely to reminisce about the old days. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, well, I can't thank you enough, actually.
It's
It's
quite
wonderful to see you again. And
Oh, Leland, he's taking a little nap. Don't worry about him.
yes, of course.
Where would you like me to begin?
Well, I guess, I don't know, do you think about the old days much, you know, and Sunderland?
The beginning then.
Yes.
My mother, as you well know, was the illegitimate great-granddaughter of the Duchess of Warbler. When I was very young, she said to me, "Emerald, always reach for the stars." She made me promise that I'd always reach for the stars. She said, "I have great expectations for you. You must be sensible with your heart, for you've come from heights that have withered with the passage of time. Oh, yes. Make good choices and don't be full of pride and prejudice."
No, not quite that far back. I meant more, you know, with the band, with Cliff.
Oh, that. Oh, I don't like to think about that. It's very sad, really. That's why we moved here, to get some peace.
Do you like it here?
Oh, yes, very much. It has such beauty and solemnity. You know, County Durham has a very curious history. It wasn't always called Death Hill. At one point it was called Death Hill. Parents would bring their sick children here, believing that if they walked through a fork in the sycamores, that their children would be healed. They died on the spot. I guess it's rather sad. Sadness seems to follow me.
Wasn't it already called? Anyway, so tell me more about Leland, in your life with Leland.
Oh, well, Leland loved it here. thought it was the perfect spot for a drummer. He said, you know, we will never be a nuisance to the neighbours. Which is true. It is lovely.
Well, not actually.
And when I have some extra time, I volunteer at the Parkwood Cattery.
Sorry, cattery?
Yes, they have them by the bushels. Oh, lovely pets if you'd like one. I mean, maybe you'd like more than one.
I think I'm good on that account.
Sweet darling thing. Only a few of them are vicious.
Well, so tell me more. How did you meet Clifford?
Oh, don't you recall? The years have not been good on your memory. You were there.
Oh, of course.
It was the free concert in the park, 1982.
Well, it's a long time ago.
Prince James Preston was playing with a few others.
Oh, King James Preston. Yeah.
Oh, yes, King Prince, you know, all that royal. Maybe he thought he was king, but he should have been prince. Oh, Duke, rather. Anyway, I was on a one and only date with Sammy Socket. Clifford, that sly dog, he sidled up to me and, well, he stole my heart.
Oh, right. Yes, now I remember. I also remember you two were quite inseparable.
Yes, we were very, very much in love. But Clifford suffered so. He would obsess over everything. You know, he couldn't leave the house without checking every appliance. He was frightfully afraid of house fires and the such. But there's nothing he obsessed more over than his music. I mean, he nearly drove poor Leland mad with that one single from, what was that band from Norway?
Kasvot Vaxt.
Yes, them. Oh my. I mean, he would play it over and over again, trying to get it exactly right.
This is a rather difficult question, but you see, I must ask. A lot of fans of the Underwater Cliffs still believe to this day that, that you had. Do you believe that? That is to say, do you believe you broke up the Underwater Cliffs?
What? Is that what people say?
Well,
because
some.
of Leland and I?
Yeah.
No, it had nothing to do with that. You see, how can I describe Clifford? I would say he's made of glass, actually, made of glass. Now, Leland himself is very sensitive, but, Clifford. They're trying to film my television special here. Please? Thank you.
I feel I should tell you, we're not actually filming a television special.
Whatever you want to call it. Your little docudrama. That's quite all right. I'll go along with it. Yes.
It's not quite a docudrama, but perhaps we could talk a little more about that single. You were talking about the Underwater Cliffs and the Norwegians, Kasvot Vaxt, and
well,
you told me a little bit about some argument that you were having when you were
yes. Well, we had this terrible row. As you know, Clifford was a dog person, I'm a cat person. I thought he was always trying to take my cats away from me. And I was very upset because one day he was at the studio. Let's just say this, he was always at the studio. I didn't know whether he was coming or going. And when he went to the studio one evening, he left the door open, and my cat got out. One of my cats got out, and I was very, very upset.
Have you spoken with him since?
Well, I mean, I spoke with him since the cat got out. That was decades ago. And I never quite found that cat. So the row never got settled. The argument went on. And so he went to Norway to visit that band. And when he came back, he was much, much worse. He, I don't know. I mean, he got into something with a little cube, drugs, I suppose. But then he couldn't sleep. He'd paint himself blue, and he was talking about traveling in time. So as you see, it was very difficult for the relationship to progress with the cats and the cubes and the painting and all.
Right. Yes. Well, I did write to him recently to get his perspective, and I just wanted you to be aware of that because,
I was wondering about something like this because just yesterday we received a letter addressed to you. Here, at this address. Yes, to you. And the return address said, Sunderland Sanitarium for the not so criminally insane. So I was thinking, these are some notification release forms for this television special docudrama, what have you. And then I'm thinking it could be a letter from Clifford to you.
Interesting. This is unexpected. Yes.
Oh, life is unexpected, isn't it, sometimes?
Well, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
This has been most insightful.
Oh, I'm so glad. And feel free to come by any time. I wish you could meet some of my cats. I don't know where they've gotten to. Leland, do you see any of the kitties?
Oh, the door is,
Sorry, mate.
Oh, just letting you know the door is open.
It's Emerald, man. Listen, Rex, you're really wasting your time with the cliffs.
Am I?
Yeah, a bit dated, isn't it?
Well,
You really should hear my first band, Bone.
Yeah?
Oh, would have been big, except for the fans.
Fans?
Yeah, bleeding boneheads.
Let's take a look at this, shall we? Dear Rex, stop. Let's get straight at it, shall we? Stop. Poor bastard thinks he's sending a telegram. All right, enough of that madness. They always stop reading after 2 lines. I need to set you straight on a few things. Where did you get the preposterous idea Sammy was trying to spike his hair with electricity? That's ridiculous, even for you. You fucking wanker.
He was trying to ground himself. I told him it might work. If he could just get enough electricity, I knew there was a chance he could reverse the effects of dimensional distillation. Basically, going to bed in this universe and waking up in another. Did I ever tell you why I came to Sunderland? I came across something strange in the history of Michael Faraday, the 19th century British scientist. Faraday had been asked by the Sunderland Society for Preventing Accidents in Coal Mines to invent a safer lantern for miners, basically one that wouldn't explode. A lifelong collector of books, he searched for a solution in an obscure journal he had purchased of an unnamed alchemist. The alchemist, to his great surprise, turned out to be Sir Isaac Newton. He not only found a great idea for a lantern, but also the chemical formula for the Philosopher's Stone, a powerful amulet transmuted from mercury into a stone capable of sustaining life for all eternity. I researched Newton's manuscript. The more I studied the formula, though, the more convinced I was that one of the elements was wrong. Now, I'm no chemist, but I just could tell something wasn't right. Then I found something strange in a letter Faraday wrote to his mentor, the chemist Humphrey Davy. And this is why I moved to Sunderland. It seems that the miners complained to Faraday that lamps were not the issue. It was the strange silvery metal in the mines that, when mixed with canteen water, would explode. I knew instantly what the miners were describing: rubidium, the radioactive element which looks like mercury but doesn't act like it. The element has made headlines recently for doing what physicists had always suspected. Rubidium can generate negative energy. Now, that might not mean much to most, but to those who know. From that, one could make something immensely powerful. A time machine. More than a time machine, a machine capable of opening into the 10 dimensions of space-time. Now, Jules and Clive from Kasvot Vaxt had already figured all of this out. They were way ahead of me. They actually found the relic Newton himself had forged, buried in the Sunderland mines, where Faraday told Davy it might be hidden. Jules was able to deconstruct Newton's amulet and build a much larger Philosopher's Stone, this one made from rubidium, and this became the heart of the Nioteninger project. I understand you're curious about Kasvot Vaxt, Rex, but don't dig too deep. You might not like what you find. It didn't take long for the Greenland project to get dangerous and reckless. In physics, we know that negative energy takes a heavy toll on those who borrow from its incredible potential. That debt must be paid back. Yeah, poor old Sammy didn't know what he got himself into. He was torn between the 10 dimensions of space-time. I should be too. The only reason I'm alive today is because I found a way out. Electroshock therapy. It's illegal, true, but I have friends on the inside. It's funny. I've actually met more sane people in here than I ever met out there. When you talk to Emerald, please tell her my story. Let her know. Please tell her. If she's willing to listen, that is. Tell her that I was right. I went back in time, I saw for certain she left the goddamn door open and let out her stinking cat, and it was all her fault, not mine.
Incidentally, Sammy told me you found a cat the night you interviewed him, the same night Emeralds went missing. Was it grey by any chance? Mr. Pickles? Not that it matters, because in the end I was right. By the way, it goes without saying, I'm sure, but don't tell anyone other than Emerald that I told you all this. Oh, shit.
Pay no attention as I trundle around. Punching me down, I'm gonna chase you down. Show yourself, Lord at home. Upon the till's done. Howling wind and the driving rain. Once you go closer, you will like what you found. Attention as I wander around, punching me down, I'm gonna chase you down. There's a Lord at home, upon the till's done. Howling wind and the driving rain. Once you look closer, you may like what you found.
It's over there.
It's over here.
It's over there.
Over here.
There.
Over here. There. Here. There. Here. There.
And we're back talking with the underwater cliffs. Now, I understand your drummer Leland was in the fairly controversial band Bone before joining up with you.
Yeah, but he doesn't like to talk about ancient history.
Well, we have a report that's not so ancient.
Oh, God, don't do this.
You know about this then.
We've heard tell, yes.
Roll the clip.
This is BBC Live coming to you from the parking lot outside of Sheffield City Hall, where the band Bone is scheduled to play a rock concert, or as their fans call it proper, a boning. Despite widespread critical acclaim, Bone has come under increasing criticism for the behaviour of their fanatical fans, the so-called boneheads, who have been cited with countless citations of excessive stupidity. One reason given by concerned parents all over the UK is the popular pre-boning libation of locomotive fuel and amphetamines, of which guitarist Fix Gillian responded, "They're drinking what? Are you joking? You're joking, right? You're yanking me yonkers."
I'm here now with two fans to try to get a clearer understanding of this growing subculture. Yes. Hello, yes. Yes, I'm wondering if you could tell me what it is about this band in particular that inspires such intense devotion. Right. Yes, right. Very good. Is it the music? Is it the scene? What are you drinking there? Are you at all capable of responding with actual words of some semblance of intelligence? Well, there you have it. It seems that Bone is indeed guilty of rocking their fans to death. Brain death. Back to you, John.
think that should be stated anywhere. Cat people should marry cat people, and dog people should marry dog people. I mean, would you agree?
I
mean, sometimes people marry dog people thinking they can make them into a cat person, and vice versa. And I just don't see how it could work.
And you think Leland is a
He's very sensitive.
Yes.
I feel he understands the cats. Now, when he first came here, he was more of a bird person, believe it or not, cockatoos and robins and peacocks and all. But I think bird and cat people get along a little better than cat and dog people. But I'm not quite certain why, because, I mean, I know my cats, if they could get a hold of a bird, they'd pull its gizzard out, you know?
Really?
But, well, you know, they all have their claws and all that.